Folks, do me a favor. If you haven't voted already, vote. And for a while, turn off the television, turn off the internet, and take a breather. And I'm doing this speech here. It's not a speech at the risk of basically probably alienating more people than I already have already. But it's a crazy world. I haven't voted yet. I've got my ballot. I'm about to make my markings and I'm going to go drop it off. But it's very unfortunate, although again not surprising what is taking place out there. Not only do we have a divided nation, we have a divided media nation. What used to be a source and sources for credibility is no longer the case. We are in a crazy world. We have incidents taking place left and right, highlighted by, for example, what happened on Monday night on CNN. I didn't see the bit. It's a show I usually watch, hosted by Abby Phillip, where a commentator and a panelist got involved in a verbal fracas, which, if you haven't already seen or talked about, just Google Abby Phillip CNN incident. It's pretty stark, overblown, which it will be, but nonetheless, it illustrates the entire situation right now. And that's one of the reasons why people are so distrustful of media and have such cynical views about our political system, about our the way we go about our our interactive nature and so forth. I wasn't around the election in 68, in the 60s. I was born in 62, but I didn't take part in the nation. Of course, we didn't have what we have today in terms of the internet, in terms of the sites and cable and talking head shows. It's very, very difficult to get any type of objectivity, and basic fundamental, places to go in which you can get some degree of nonpartisan bickering and threatening. And it's really kind of a crazy world out there right now. I'm not being naive. I understand the situation. That doesn't make it right, doesn't make it acceptable what is happening today. And, a lot of people are afraid. They see this uncivil jargon in this discourse and what has happened, and the fact that the very few places that we have that we once thought were sacred are now being thrown into this mental abyss, this absolute pit that we once thought could be completely unacceptable and preventable. And now not only is it not acceptable, and not only is it unpreventable, it's becoming more and more into our discourse. And people have basically objective, so-called people that care a little bit, people that have some iota of civility in their mindset, and not Democrat and Republican and the hell with this and that, and screaming and yelling and threatening and all this spew of hatred. It goes beyond party. You know, the media, it's basically become a shouting forum. He or she who screams the loudest is now the most powerful. And folks, by and large, the civilized people are fed up with all this. They can't take it anymore. I used to love elections, used to love to talk about the issues and have a cohesive and civilized debate, but it's all evaporating and it's getting so utterly toxic. No wonder there's all this hatred and venom. and shouting and screaming and yelling and you're great, I'm bad, you're bad, I'm great. There is no in between. It's us against them. Our country, our country is only going to suffer further. I don't know how much more any one of you can take this. It's not supposed to be like this. It really isn't. And I realize that I'm going to get charged with being utterly naive again to dare talk about how this process has become so evil, has become so morally reprehensible on both sides. Both sides. It's awful. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. Stop this. Democrat, great. Republican, bad. Republican, great. Democrat, bad. Trump and this and that. And Trump brings it on into a lesser and much lesser degree. So does Harris. And all these politicians, nobody has a boundary anymore. It's all free for all. It's all everybody who should stop, put a red light on everything and reset. That ain't going to happen. It's really unfortunate what has transpired and what has taken place. You know, I don't have any kids, but if I did, I'd be worried about my kids in this instance, what we have left them, and this hatred and this absolute volatility and turbulence that we've created in our media culture, our everyday lives culture, and for what? For what? We're supposed to be a civilized country. We're supposed to think that we all take place in civilized discourse. We should all be ashamed of ourselves for allowing this to get into this boundary that continues to sink worse and worse. And it's out of hand. It's really, truly out of hand.